Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh, Shemal Shai, Shem Kakadash. Try to make this real quick. The title I'm going to give, I was thinking of a couple of, actually, they're scriptures. One scripture come to mind is, and take them captives whose captives they were. That's out of Isaiah 14. And I was also thinking about Revelation 13, 9 and 10. He that leaves in captivity shall go into captivity, which you don't need to be a scholar. You don't need to be a individual that has degrees in a theological seminary, or what I call a cemetery, to understand those basic, simple scriptures. And I just mentioned two of them. So anyway, I was watching. Give me a second. Okay, let me do this. Slide this over here. So I saw the notification for this particular video. Jake in Guyana calling out E. So I clicked on it and I saw this. So I'm not even 2 minutes into this video, put up by Roman Say 144. Guyanese, which are Israelites, they're a mixture of, as this video will tell you, they're a mixture of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, some Asher, maybe some other Latin tribes. You know, like you can look and see that they, like he's dark, he kind of has a Latino look. They kind of look Latino, Simeonite looking, but they're all Israelites. So it says here, a Guyanese in silent protest demand more than apology from descendants of former slave owner. So, and as you watch this video, the elder head of GMS Dallas, he goes into mentions the family's name, the Gladstone. So I looked it up. Gladstone family. Okay, so it says Gladstone. The first thing that came up from the BBC, Gladstone family urged to pay slavery reparations to Jamaica. The descendants of former Prime Minister William Gladstone are facing calls to pay reparations to Jamaica for an ancestor's role in slavery. So now you have in the States here, you got a reparation, you got people asking for reparations. You know, one individual that comes to mind is Tariq Nasheed and others, but Jake as a whole, they're asking for in their way that they should get compensated for what their foreparents did. Anyway, so I said people also ask how many slaves did Gladstone own? A little bit more than 2,500. And so you can get a lot done with 2,500 people. Enslaved Africans, which are Israelites. They came from West Africa. The University of London, Legacies of British Slavery database. Wow, I got to look that up. Legacies of British Slavery data. I bet you can get a whole lot of information from that. But I'll see in a minute or so. Database shows John Gladstone owned or held mortgage over 2,500 enslaved Africans or Israelites in Guyana and Jamaica in the 19th century. So we're talking about the 1800s. And these devils ain't gonna give you reparations because they would have to give billions of dollars. You know, when I say billions, I'm talking about maybe 100 billion or more. because they have to be compensated very nicely. Not know, oh, we're gonna give you $10,000. That ain't not that's nothing. We're talking about each individual whose descendants were slaves. We're talking about the millions. We're talking about changing Jake Sundays. And that's not going to happen. Esau's not going to give it up. He's a devil. He gonna scratch and paw and scream that he shouldn't do it, but he is going to do it in the way of him going into captivity under us. All Edomites are going into captivity. All 100%. Every last one of them shall go into captivity. William Ewart Gladstone was a Liberal Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland on 4 separate occasions between 1868 and 1894. He was noted for, and this is the first time I heard about this devil, he was noted for his moralistic leadership and his emphasis on world peace. Ain't no peace in this world. Ain't no peaceful world. Inside joke. This cracker ass nigga had 2,500 plus slaves talking about we should be moral. That's why I'm fucking mad. That's why I'm gonna kick your fucking ass, man. I'm gonna kick your fucking ass in the kingdom of heaven. That got some fucking nerve, man. Like this devil. Jonathan Edwards. This was a Protestant preacher back in the day, slavery days. And I believe he had 4 slaves. He had a male slave, he had an older woman slave, and he had a young girl slave named Venus, which if you go back to 2016 and go to Google, it tells you that he was having sexual relations with this 13-year-old girl named Venus, which was a slave. But now they say, oh, she was just a slave. But at the time that he was this great theologian that demon Vocab Malone highly respects as a great Protestant, if you bring up Jonathan Edwards and you start to talk about Jonathan Edwards to Vocab Malone, he will change the subject. Because Divine Prospect, he pulled up, he brought up the name Jonathan Edwards, and Vocab Malone got all combusturated. Had to use that word, got that from Lahab, combusturated. He was all what's the other word? There's another word similar to that. Combobulated. He was all combustulated and combobulated and appalled. So, all you got to do, what you do when they say, why you teaching that you're going to put white people in slavery? Well, the answer is simple. It's a biblical concept. You put somebody in slavery, your ass got to go in slavery. Free your mind and your ass to follow. So we're getting the records is on you devils, man. We got the records on you. We got the evidence. We got the receipts. The receipts. Silent P. He was noted for his moralistic. I thought maybe I read that word wrong. Moralistic. He was a moral person that had slaves. Well, he looked at y'all as less than human, so, and his emphasis on world peace. How the fuck you gonna have world peace when you got over 2,500 people working for your ass for free? For when they shall say peace and safety, then what? sudden destruction cometh upon them. Economical budgets, political reform, and efforts to resolve the Irish question, whatever that means. Oh, wait a minute. They're gonna let me know where he's buried. They're gonna bury you, Jack. Oh, that's a place of interest. That's a place of interest. If you live in England, Westminster Abbey, formerly titled in Collegiate Church of St. Peter at Westminster, is an Anglican church. They broke off from the Roman Catholic. Number Roman Catholic with a different name, just like Vocab Malone ain't nothing but a Roman Catholic. That's all he is. But he protested certain things. Like the other day, he did an interview with Sarnetta, and he was talking about the Roman Catholic Church, and he said that they gotta to get themselves right with God, they have to do away with the Apocrypha. He don't like that Apocrypha for some reason. And by the way, Roman Catholics do, one of the books that they deal with is the Apocrypha. Okay, so it says London, England since 1066. And this is when Jake was ruling. 1066, Jake was up in that power seat. Because they didn't just go down overnight. Because remember, the King James, he was a Jake. It was Jake right here. And then Esau came in to the mix. It has been the location of the coronation of 40 English and British monarchs, for the most part, were Jakes. That whole ceremony, coronation, pomp and circumstance, that's Jake came up with all that, man. And that all goes back, like the current king of England, that tradition goes back to King David, sitting on the throne. So they're saying that they're a part of the line of King David. It has been, I read that, and a burial site for 18 English, Scottish, and British monarchs. So that's where this devil was buried. Let me look at this. Who are the oldest slaves in history? The oldest known slave society was the Mesopotamian and Sumerian. They had to put that in there to really kind of push out that narrative of, well, everybody enslaved everybody. It wasn't just us white people. And I'll go with that. So then you'll understand why you're going into slavery under us. Because I go back to what you say. Well, all societies had slaves. Well, guess what? We're going to have slaves in our society, in our new society, which is known as the Kingdom of Heaven, located in the Iraq region between 6000 to 2000 BCE. That BCE, before the Common Era. So it just makes sense that, we're going to have slaves. Okay, slave born 1841. Died. Who's this guy? Sylvester McGee. I guess he loved his slave master so much he didn't want to die. I can't die for the slave master. I got to work for that man. Nationality American. It doesn't say he's African American. I'm going to assume he was an African American, known for claimed to having been the last surviving American slave. Is that something to be proud of? Supposedly that nigga lived to be supposedly aged 130. Goddamn, so that's a lot of years. Columbia, Mississippi. So this was an old Negro slave. I doubt he was in the house. We're going to find out. Yeah, Allah is nothing but the moon god. Okay, so let me look up this Jake's name. All right. oh, this, oh, this, oh, this nigga. Oh, this nigga. Look at this dude here. This nigga look like Honest Abe Honeycutt. Yeah, sir. I'm proud to say that I'm the oldest nigga slave, Negro slave in America. And I had some good masters too. He was one of them hard niggas, man. You know, he probably 102 right here. You know them Jakes, they'll be like 110 and they look like they're about 67 because black don't crack, baby. Let me see something. I want to know if he's working in the field or working in the house. Okay, images. Let me go to images. Just bear with me, man. Yeah, black don't crack, as they say. Still had a full head of hair. You got to crack an interview with him. Hello, Mr. Silvestri. You're the oldest living nigga on the planet. What do you got to say about that? Anyway, and come back over here. Where am I? So we all know the scriptures: Isaiah 14 and 2, 1 and 2, Revelation 13, 9 and 10, Jeremiah. What is that? Jeremiah 30, verse 16, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look at this. What kind of name did slaves have? Yeah, because they came over here with Hebrew names. So the master had to take away their language, take away their culture, their heritage. And look at some of the names that they gave them. Many enslaved men in the colonies in the colonial period bore the names Bacchus, Virgil, Hannibal, Jupiter, Titus, biblical name, Cato, Cicero, That Cicero in the movie Mandingo, the guy that he was revolting against the slave owners, and they caught him teaching the Bible, and they hung him. Well, his name was Cicero, and Cicero, I believe, means to cut. Hector, Cupid, Primus, Augustus, Scipio, Nero, Caesar, Hercules, and Caesar. While enslaved women and girls in New England and beyond receive classical slave names, right, such as Venus. Like I said, Jonathan Edwards, that famous theologian, had, I believe, at least 4 slaves, and one of them was Venus. She was a 13-year-old at that time, and it was said that he was, not only was she a slave under him, but he was getting it in too. Oh, and he was against slavery. The devil had slaves and saying, I don't like this slavery thing. We shouldn't slave people. But meanwhile, he had slaves. All them presidents, Washington, all those different during that time of slavery. George Washington, he had many slaves. Diana, Juno, Daphne, Phoebe. Some say that children were forced to perform field labor duties as young as the age of 6. We're gonna get you devils out there when you're about fucking 6 months. We're gonna put your ass in the field. You got a lot to pay for, man. You got a lot to pay for. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna say shalom.